In this episode, you're going to learn how to control and choose the perspectives you select to get what you want out of life. Hi, this is Dan Schuck at Glass Half Question. Is your glass half empty or half full? What's your perspective? Is it wrong to be concerned that a glass is half empty? Is it wrong to be happy that a glass is half full? Or doesn't it really kind of depend on the circumstance? This is the heart of my Glass Half Question project, and also the theme of my children's book for grown-ups, A Glass Half Empty or Half Full, which you can find on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. In this series of videos, I've been talking about how our perspectives about the facts we think we know are relative. The good thing about perspectives is that we can choose to change them. And we do this all the time when we learn something new and change our minds. But being able to do this on command when you want to do it takes practice. And that's why I call this practicing perspective. It's kind of a habit you build, but it's also kind of a skill, almost an art form. Of course, one of the first skills you need is to realize when you need to do this. It happens accidentally throughout the day, but it's trickier to change your perspective on purpose. Because you get caught up in your own natural perspective, it's hard to even remember that another perspective could exist. But if you can do it on purpose when facing one of life's little dilemmas, you may find you understand yourself and others better. In fact, by looking at the beliefs you have about your world and considering whether there are alternative perspectives, you are likely to learn something. You may or may not adopt a new perspective, but you might be able to see another way of solving your problems. Let me give you an example. I might have the perspective that I don't have enough money in my wallet. That's probably a perspective that most of us can identify with. Wish I had more money. You may have some good supporting arguments for that perspective. I can't afford to go to a fancy lunch. I don't have enough money to pay for a taxi ride home. My friends all have more money in their wallets. But if you take a beat and try looking at this with another perspective, you might learn something that can be helpful. If I had more money, I would spend more money. I may have to walk home instead of getting a cab. My friends can pay for lunch instead of me. The point is, choosing the perspective you take is just that, a choice, and that's empowering. If you become single-focused on just believing a single perspective, you have just limited the world for yourself. If you can start to look at the glass as both half empty and half full, well, now you've just given yourself a lot more options than just one. This may sound like the power of positive thinking or having faith, and to be honest, I'm not sure that it isn't exactly those things, but that kind of depends on you. My point here is that by giving yourself the freedom to explore looking at the world from different points of view, you will give yourself a lot more options and opportunities. You might not, in fact you probably won't, solve all your problems, but you will have given yourself this beautiful gift of having increased options. Without anything but your own mind and your own approach to how you view the world, you can make the world a lot bigger and more interesting for yourself. You might be able to spot risks that you might not otherwise have seen. You might also be able to identify opportunities that weren't clear to you before. Again, I want to go back to this point that I don't mean to suggest that you shouldn't have strong beliefs that you stick to and defend. Gosh, we'd never get anywhere if we were constantly all changing our minds and selecting a new perspective on every little thing every moment of the day. But what I am suggesting is that there is value in taking a break from your beliefs occasionally, and even habitually, to take a few beats for looking at things from other perspectives. This takes practice and needs to be done with purpose. You also need to have realistic expectations for yourself. This is the kind of thing we each need to give ourselves time and grace to learn to deal with. If you're finding it hard to do, you might need to take it more slowly and be patient with yourself. If you've come with me this far, then you probably already get that there's some value to you in practicing perspective, but you might be stuck here on what I'm suggesting you actually do about it. It costs really nothing to try, but it does need to be done with some purpose. In the next set of videos, we'll start talking about how you can start to try practicing perspective. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and kind of fun, and be sure to click on the subscribe button now to make sure you get the next videos in this series. My website is www.glasshalfquestion.com, and if you go there, you'll find the full catalog of these videos and the rest of my content. Leave me a comment here if you have any questions or related thoughts, and please share this video with anyone you know that you think would appreciate this, or perhaps someone you know that could use a little extra help with perspective. Also, feel free to leave me comments here if you have any questions or ideas. I appreciate the feedback. And remember, keep practicing perspective.